Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adoration to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha Upashama Prakarana, section 772 continues. And the whole topic is, where is grief? In your body or in your soul? Soul is not touched by grief. And body, everybody watches the body, cremated, buried, and asks the body that is dead, where is grief? So neither body has the grief, nor the soul is grief. Why are you trapped by grief? These are very profound topics, but they are directing your attention to the absolute reality and the highest ideal that you must go after, which is the goal of your life. It's like an old style journey, but they must determine where the pole star is. And then they start their journey. And while journeying, they go on looking at the pole star, that they are in the right direction. That applies today or always. It's the purpose of Yoga Vasistha and great scriptures is to let you have your attention towards the pole star. Pole star is the truth within you that never shakes. The highest attainment, in brief, self-realization, liberation, mukti, moksha. That's your goal. O Rama, there are two entities in this world, the seer and the seen. Of these two, the seen in itself is neither existent nor non-existent. Therefore, it should neither give rise to happiness nor to grief. A very simple division is done. Two entities are there, spirit and matter. You never see matter crying. I'm joking. And the spirit is like the sky. The world of matter moves like clouds. And clouds don't have substantiality. So they may shout a lot, roar, thunder, dance, stay in turmoil, but they simply dwindle away. In the same way, The reality, the real I am in you is like the sky. Led by deluded mind, mind under ignorance. Or you can simply say led by ignorance. There develops this dualistic vision of difference between the seer and the sight. Seer, another simple way to understand. Think of the sun. Sun is the seer. And all the sight that is you see, they are illumined by the sun. If the sun was not there, the sight will not be there. Can you imagine? So, but to mind that is limited, there is a division, the sun up there and the sight down there. And the sight is more pleasing because there are many more things to see. And the seer, let him be wherever he is. In other words, deluded mind, gripped by ignorance. Again, it is deluded mind itself is a product of ignorance. And if you say, where does ignorance come from? It's a big ignorance. The question itself is the sample for ignorance. It is impossible to find entities arising out of the blend of the unreal and the real. Because such a blend, like the blend of darkness and light, is impossible. Light is the seer, and darkness is seen. But darkness has no substance, no reality. Therefore, for a man of reflection, there is no room for elation or misery. Due to the transient conditions of the world. The world gives you only two types of experience. Elation, called harsh. Misery, vishad. Elation and depression. Like and dislike. When things you like and you attain them, mind gets excited, thrill. That's called harsh. And if you don't get it, mind gets depressed. That's called vishad. So, led by ignorance, one goes on experiencing joy and sorrow, harsh and vishad, from life to life, no matter what you attain in the world, what you become. All your experiences are just every day you are looking for more happiness, less sorrow. But then suddenly sorrow aspect more becomes more. Then you have to wait for some little happiness. But suddenly happiness comes like rains. But then, even though whether you wait or not, pandemic comes in. But that's the predicament of soul that is unenlightened. The soul that does not discover its essential nature. I am that. I am the sun. In the sun there is no darkness. and all solar illuminations are nothing but the sun. With an analytical vision, one can behold the bliss of the self manifesting as pleasure when the senses are in contact with objects. Such pleasure or happiness does not proceed from the objects, but from the ever blissful self. Now, if you were to really inquire into what makes you happy, first point you have to understand, you are essentially happiness. Atma. Your deepest urge within you is to discover your own self. That urge is the source of all happiness. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. You love any object with the idea this will give you happiness. Because you are looking for absolute happiness, but your mind doesn't turn to absolute. Whatever the mind is able to capture, and whatever you capture through your mind, first mind itself is limited. And the capturing instruments are your eyes, your ears, and your senses, all the Gyanendriyas. But all your Gyanendriyas, all the senses are completely limited. Eyes don't give you perfect experience. And many animals possess better eyes than human beings. Your nose is very limited. These days it's still more limited. but the nose of very ordinary animals, they can smell far, vast distance. In other words, the senses create the illusion of the reality of the world. And those senses on the basis of which you consider the world real, they themselves are not real. So then, the Vedantic insight behind your psychology of finding happiness in object, the insight is led by your subtle desire. Subtle desire is just like specks in your eyes. If you have put on blue specks, look at anything, it's blue. You are not finding blue in what you are seeing. It is blueness you are projecting. You are projecting love on the object that you love. Led by your subtle desires, put it more in a simple way, subtle desires, your vasana, anything you see or experience, firstly your vasana polishes it. Secondly, you begin to look into the vasana, looking your own face. Your face is Atma, the self. Some polishes don't let you see yourself. You hate them. Some polishes allow you to see yourself. You love them. But all these polished objects, none of them is the real source of your happiness. As well as none of them is the real source of your pain. You have to figure that out. By thus reflecting, one becomes a liberated sage. while those who are ignorant continue to intensify their bondage by their erroneous conviction that happiness proceeds from the objects of the world. So for a vast majority, why they want to live and always looking for live for 100 years, why 100 years more? When will science progress to stop this mortality virus? But that's the concept of securing happiness. But you know very well, simply go on living, that doesn't mean you are happy. Rather, you have more opportunities for misery. While self-indulgence in pleasure intensifies bondage, the self-negating process of discovering the blissful self removes bondage and promotes release. The term self-indulgence implies that you have no other idea of where to look for happiness except things that you like create a raga, attachment, that raga movement. The mind moves on the basis of the concept of like. This is likeable. This pleases me. The moment the mind has developed that attitude, it pleases me. Now you want to secure your happiness by holding on to that relation, to holding on to that object. At the same time, when any relation or contact causes slightest frustration in the fulfillment of your desire, where it becomes like a thorn in your expectation, then that's called, you begin to hate. So you are living a life which is defined by like and dislike. And the news that gives you so much entertainment day by day is based upon likes and dislikes. The fabric of like and dislike. Like and dislike create a bounteous fabric. It's called fabrication. So if you are just focused on the goal of life in the terms of likes and dislikes, securing what you like and ignoring what you dislike, if that is your goal, then you are promoting bondage and you are practicing self-indulgence. The definition of self-indulgence means just letting the mind stay with like and dislike. You sit down and go on thinking of things that you like. Or a cool stone is on your head. And go on reflecting upon all the troubles you have experienced. Other than that, mind doesn't have anything to do. I'm talking about those who are not interested in spirituality and just being led by a dull-wit intellect. And that's called self-indulgence to pleasure. And that causes bondage. If you cut down self-indulgence, neither like nor dislike, or handle likes and dislikes as a means to an end, not your goal. And if you continue to enhance practice of meditation, experience of relaxing the mind, a profounder experience of serenity. And if you conduct yourself to promote that state, how can you conduct yourself? It requires integral yoga. Personality has to come into integration. And practice of integration is a rhythmic process, more like music. You have 4 strings, and they create a noisy day or a melodious day. Allow these 4 strings to be in harmony. Practice karma yoga, bhakti yoga. Your actions must switch your mind to God. That God is your instrument in divine hand. And there is a purpose behind your existence. And there are many more implications. I'm not going into that direction. And all your sentiments, the tenderest of your sentiments, must realize cannot be fulfilled in the world. No matter how lovable relation you may develop in your life, no matter how long it may continue to exist, but ultimately it ends. You cannot hold on to anything. Then what happens to your tender heart? Understand, every form of tenderness you experience should switch your mind, it's coming from God. Every food you eat, you must switch your mind to understand, coming from the spices, coming from this subtle taste, delicious. So that's called bhakti yoga. Similarly, operations of the mind. Look into the mind, how tricky the mind is. And it can bring so much thrill and excitement and exploration. It can bring also lots of junk. So how can you just allow your mind to go on drifting like a tree, drifting with the wind in a purposeful, purposeless manner? Dhyana, meditation. Allow meditation and japa meditation to be practiced so that can organize your mind. And that's called dhyana yoga. Organize your mind in a profound way. Then your understanding, insight, the function of insight, the function of directing your subtle intellect. How much change occurs when your understanding changes. And that must relate to understanding who am I, understanding God and your relation. That becomes bhakti yoga and the jnana yoga. So all these 4 strings must remain active. You must be active in your action, active in your sentimental function, active in your thought, mentation, mental movements, active in your thoughtfulness. All this, anywhere if you stop, you are building up inertia. And inertia creates trouble. But all this becomes operative, sahaj, spontaneous. You don't have to worry about it. Because deep down your heart enjoys melody. At that time it doesn't think how many fingers are moving and why are they moving so fast and what type of pain they are going through. Who cares? So when there is a melody, You don't hold on to memories of boredom, memories of failure, memories of frustration. You move on day by day. It's increasing harmony. While I'm saying it seems very quick, practice should be with great patience and faith, with satsanga and good guidance. But we have no other choice. Other choice is just going on, led by karma, repeating the same experience, being born in a family. Start stammering when we start talking in the early age, going after your toys, and so many things. And that goes on, birth after birth. No matter how great attainment in your life, all that vanishes. Millions of Alexanders have come and gone. O Rama, when the seer becomes free of seeing and seen, it then abides in its essential nature, the self. For simple way to understand, in dream, you have seer, seen and sight. It's simplified by just pointing out two things, seer and seen. You have subject, you have dream subject, and you have a dream world. Both of them are not real. And therefore, to wake up, you have to be free of both. Neither you are the seer of so many things, wonderful things of your dream world, nor the dream world exists as a reality. A sage is then said to be abiding in Turiya, the fourth, that awakened state is called transcendental state. And is fourth because when you begin to count, waking state, highlighting the reality of your physical body, dream state, highlighting the subtle body, sleep state, the causal body. But behind all these three states, the reality is the fourth. The reality is beyond all the three. And since you have come through these three states, counting 1, 2, 3, you end up with 4. So therefore we call it Turiya. The state of Turiya is beyond description. Abiding in this state, the self is neither gross nor subtle. Now, if you are in Turiya state, all the descriptions that filled your mind of multiplicity of things, all that moves away. When you wake up from your dream, all that you were involved in your dream world, it was a vast world. And in your dream, you had your memories of the past, which never existed. And you have memories of the future. And all that disappears. So then, keeping that in view, come to understand the I am in you is the self, not your ego. That I am is neither gross nor subtle, neither associated with objects, nor disassociated from them. Since objects are not there, the question of being associated or disassociated does not arise. While you are dreaming, being associated is a reality. You are You find something wonderful. You found a purse shining with pearls. It's association, good association. And before you touch the pearl, a scorpion stings you. Because the scorpion was also along with the pearl. So, in dream it was all real. Wake up, you didn't find the purse. Neither there was the opening for a big joy of finding pearls, nor the great shock of being stung by a scorpion. So all the thrill and this stinging experience are transcended when you wake up. Waking up is to that enlightened state, intuitional revelation. Who am I? From the point of view of Turiya, the Atman, which means the highest self, absolute self, is neither in the form of ego nor in the form of objects. It is neither one nor many. Even when you assert, I am non-dual Brahman, not all this dual. Asserting means you are recognizing one different from so many things. So from a very advanced point of view, even that declaration has no meaning. It is neither attainable nor non-attainable. With the same logic, self-realization is not something that you attain or you do not attain. The word used is in allegorical way. If you are ignorant, you are said to be separated from your goal. As long as you are dreaming, you are separated from yourself, your own body. But that's only allegorical. It is not literal. Really, you are never separated. That goal cannot be described in the terms of mental concepts. Concepts can be very positive or very negative. Both ways, your concept is completely different, far away from the reality. Therefore, God is described as anirvachaniya, indescribable. Don't work hard to describe it. Neither of the nature of elements, nor of the nature of the source of elements. The self is the only reality from the point of view of Turiya. And from that point of view, the reality of the world is utterly negated. Brahma Satyam Jaganamithya. Brahman alone is truth. The world has no substance in it. O Rama, the numerous worlds that are experienced by countless souls and which exist through it, the unimaginable flow of time, are nothing but waves, countless worlds. Imagine, try to understand that. An unimaginable flow of time. The time that you experience, the real time that you experience is not what the clocks give to you. Clocks are mechanical things, go on, counting time. But the real time you experience is based upon your karmic process, Karma brings you a certain change in your nature. You are very happy. Now your time flies. You soar. You don't care for how long. Unhappy, even though the clock says only 10 minutes have passed. But you have experienced hours. So time experience varies day by day, hour after hour, in every individual. Think of the time experienced in countless souls. What is the perception of time in a bird, in a dog, in a cat, in so many different animals? In brief, time is not a reality. It's a mental interpretation brought about your nervous system. Nothing but waves surging in the ocean of self. All the time and space perceptions from broad point of view, they are nothing but Brahman. Allegorically, Brahman is the ocean. All that you are experiencing are little shimmering waves in the ocean of the self. That self you are. Having thus realized the self, become free of the world process. Do not come back into this computer set, the iPad. Do not be embodied in human or any embodiment. Section 73. Insight into three types of ego. And that's a little more serious insight being given. Sage Vasishtha continued, just as the knower of the secrets of Chintamani finds it in the same manner, a wise aspirant discovers the true nature of the self. Again, simple allegorical language. Finding the true nature of yourself is like finding what masters talk about, finding the touchstone or a magical stone called Chintamani. You simply have to possess it, and whatever you say, it just brings it out. You don't like a stone? Kamadhenu. The mystic cow. So that self in you, the self-realization project, is to find that precious pearl, magical pearl, that precious Kamadhenu. Nothing can be more inspiring. And what does it mean? A wise aspirant discovers the true nature of the self. All that you have to do is to understand who am I, and you have found treasure of treasures. You have found Chintamani. You have found Kamadhenu. You have attained Paramatripti, absolute fulfillment. O Rama, listen to the first type of affirmation. Three types of ego implies three attitudes. Three types of mental affirmation. First type of affirmation, relinquishing the limited notion of the ego sense. You have to always be in a position to switch away from your very ego. Spiritual sensitivity allows you to do that. Otherwise, it is a very hard thing to understand. How can you switch away from it? But just like When you have a headache, you say, I have a headache. You ignore the head, recognize the headache. Try to understand your ego impacts upon you like a headache. There sometimes your ego is swollen. If you are not sensitive, you don't feel it. You become one with it. You are sensitive, you recognize it. That something wrong has happened in my understanding. Today my ego is not the way it should be. But I'll wait. I'll take care of my ego. If you are in that situation, then you can listen to the teaching. Be humble. Practice self-effacement. Now, in that movement of switching away from your ego, there's artistic movement. First state, fill your mind in a positive way. I am the gods. I am the numerous worlds. I am the moon and its lustrous rays. I am the clouds, the darkness, the earth, the ocean. I am the wind, rain and fire. I am the entire universe. I am all this. Allow your I am. Push the ego away. Bring the higher I am. Push reflected sun and what it shines away. Bring the big sun. The reflected sun is simply illumining a little bucket. Big sun is illumining all. Why should reflected sun be duped to think it is only in the pot? The affirmation must enter. I am the sun. Nothing false about it. And therefore, your I am is shining everywhere in perfect bliss. And this type of practice can be brought into your meditation in different stages. Like I am the earth element. Think of all the earth does. Allow your mind to bring out that you are on the Himalayan mountain. The earth element is all that. You are all the different colors that you experience as you journey through the earth, countless cities, countless nature, forests, etc. And whatever the earth element brings to your mind, I am that earth. And earth is the foundation of all your experience. You are the very foundational mystic substance. So never feel you are niradhar, you are helpless, not sustained by sitting on a table that is going to fall because of too much termites. I'm joking. So, and likewise you can choose water element, fire element. Think of all the power and the glory the element presents. Think of Akasha element. That's what is implied when you practice Kundalini Yoga with each Mooladhar of earth element, Vasishtha water element, Manipura fire element, Anahata air element, Vishuddhi Chakra ether element, Akasha. And then beyond all this, the controller of all elements, your Ajna Chakra. That which controls all these elements in divine plane. I am, enjoy the glory of I am, and go on discovering more and more through all this type of meditation. If you are highly advanced, one session is enough to that. Or you may practice a second type of affirmation. I am the essential reality underlying all names and forms. In Kundalini Yoga, you go through all these chakras, ultimately end up with crown of Sahasrara. Now that's what is referred to as the second affirmation. You are, Sahasrara implies altogether the absolute reality that has given substance to all that we have described. That which is the reality. I am the essential reality underlying all names and forms. This should not stay just with in intellectual, but allow your mind to grab it. And you cannot grab it by in an intellectual way. Mind has to be drowned in meditation. It is the mystic silence of Mauna, the mystic silence that leads you to your highest goal. I am the non-dual self, distinct from the three bodies and the five sheaths. I am the absolute reality. Aham Brahma. Two-aspected positive affirmation. One, communing with the world around you as step by step, earth, water, fire, and so forth. And the other, the culmination of that movement, Aham Brahma. But there is a third type of egoistic assertion which must be shunned in order to attain liberation. This affirmation it asserts, I am this body, I am of the nature of the world. I am this body, and the body is worldly. And which is ever changing and transient. I am subject to birth and death. Ask my astrologer. And with this, I was concluded. This type of I am drowns you into delusion and deprives you to experience the thrill of who am I? Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om